Hotel. Welcome back to the Chosen Few channel, man. I got another good one, another banger for you guys. Today, we're going to be talking about poison plots, mystical medicine, and artifacts from Africa. That's right, we're talking about poison plots, mystical medicine, and artifacts from Africa. And as always, I hope I tell you guys something that you never heard before. Have you ever wondered, family? You know, I've been teaching you guys a lot about our ancestors during slavery. Well, have you ever wondered about some of the medicinal practices of the enslaved peoples? Have you ever wondered how they healed themselves, how they treated themselves? What did they use for medicine? How did they make their medicine? What did they put their medicine in? Did they talk about medicine? Did the only medicine that they know come from the white man and the white doctors? Did any of their medicine come directly from Africa? Did they preserve any traditions from Africa? Poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. And did they ever use this medicine or this knowledge in their fight for freedom? Was anyone ever poisoned, family? Have you ever thought about that? Well, if so, you came to the right place. Thanks for hitting the link. You know, hit that like. Make sure you subscribe. And let's get into it. Poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. Now we're going to look at this article just a little bit that I found online. Medicinal practices of enslaved peoples. Now this is the College of Physicians of Philadelphia. Let's look at one of these introduction paragraphs. If you are interested in learning more about African American healers and plant-based remedies, Herbert Covey's book, African American Slave Medicine, Herbal and Non-Herbal Treatments, 2007, is an excellent starting point. Listen to this. The Federal Writers Project Slave Narratives, available online through the Library of Congress, is one of the most extensive series of interviews of formerly enslaved African Americans. I keep going to them slave narratives, trying to put you guys up on game. So let's look into this article and see what it highlights from the slave narratives about poison plots, mystical medicine, and artifacts from Africa. Now, the plant that you are looking at, the article says that this is the Ferula species. It says Ferula species, possibly Ferula fortida, which formerly enslaved people referred to as asafoetida, were also used to treat respiratory illness. These plants are members of the carrot family. Today, the term asafoetida usually refers to dried latex prepared from the plant's roots. Ferula species have a strong odor and are also known as stinking gum or devil's dung. Africans and African Americans use asafoetida as a preventative against respiratory diseases. It was thought that breathing in the plant's odors would kill disease causing material. Lizzie Norfleet described her experiences under slavery in an interview with the Federal Writers Project. And that is quoting Lizzie Norfleet. Every child wore an asafoetida bag round the neck to keep from catching diseases. So we see that right out the gate, they are quoting one of the slave narratives. And this is one of the Mississippi slave narratives. And they're quoting an ancestor named Lizzie Norfleet. So when we go to the primary documentation, the slave narratives themselves to find the quote, we could get more information on what she said. This is what she said. When the slaves got sick, a doctor from Friars Point was sent for to tend them. The old women on the place looked after them till they was up. The old women took care of the babies and children too. They had learned about different herbs and how to make tea out of them for the babies. The older children had their worm medicine put in molasses so they wouldn't mind eating it. Every child wore an asafoetida bag round the neck to keep from catching diseases. That's the quote. For in them days, they did not know nothing about no charms or nothing of the kind. The asafoetida bag was the only dependence. Now, this ancestor is saying they didn't know anything about any charms or anything. All they knew about was the asafoetida bag. But that must be just from her scope of reference and understanding, because we do have primary information that there was definitely an understanding of charms and spells and other types of medicine at that time. But we see that quote comes from a larger slave narrative of Lizzie Norfleet, and you get a lot more information about what it was like in slavery times. Remember, family, whenever somebody in our time period is telling you something about what went on in slavery, if it's accurate sourced information, it has to come from somewhere credible. Now, what I'm telling you is, in my opinion, some of the most credible sources on what slavery was like are these slave narratives. So if we want to get our actual history, this is where we should go. You see, the College of Physicians of Philadelphia has this whole article, Medicinal Practices of Enslaved People. They've diligently looked into this, family, and we should diligently look into these things too, just to know what our ancestors did, just to know our history. Let's go a little further. Now we're going to look at this, family. This is the elderberry, or elder. Our ancestors also used this. Poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. It says, many Africans and African Americans believed in the power of time-honored remedies and trusted healers to cure illnesses. By growing and foraging for medicinal herbs, enslaved people were empowered to heal themselves and their loved ones. However, if those they cared for did not recover, enslaved healers were often blamed by white overseers and enslavers. Laws enacted by the Virginia legislature as early as 1748 determined that enslaved people administering medicines without approval by their enslaver was an act punishable by death. Sacred practices for health and healing, sometimes conducted in secret, were a means of survival for Africans and African Americans enduring the cruelties of enslavement. So we're going to put a pin in that, but notice that they're saying that at some point early on, especially in the Virginia legislature in 1748, they made Africans practicing African medicine illegal. It was a felony. I'm going to go into that later, but it was a felony, family. And they began to try to stamp out or destroy or bring an end to the knowledge of how to heal oneself that came from Africa, because poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. For one, they were able to heal themselves from the wounds that they endured, and they poisoned a lot of their masters. It was a lot of poisonings going on. When they talk about hoodoo, voodoo, curses, spells, mixtures, potions, whipping stuff up to hurt people, they brought this knowledge of how to make potions and things to hurt people. They brought this over from Africa, and they were killing people with potions. I'm going to go into it a little bit later, but let's look at what Harriet Collins, they quote Harriet Collins as well, and again, the slave narratives. I'm trying to put y'all up on game, family. Put a pin on that. Let's go back to the medicine. It says, in Federal Writers Project interviews, formerly enslaved African Americans recall using elderberry, also called elder, as a powerful preventative and remedy. Harriet Collins of Texas remembered that elder was placed around infants' necks to prevent discomfort when teething. Rachel Goings of Missouri described a remedy for sores. I took elder leaves and boiled them to make a tea. Then I poured that in the sore and it got well. So check this out. So they're saying the ancestor Harriet Collins, who is recorded in the slave narratives of Texas, said that she remembered elder or elderberry was placed around infants' necks to prevent discomfort when teething. So what I'm going to do for you guys, I'm going to take you to the actual slave narratives again, and we're going to look at the primary documentation and pull up the source. And now when I pull up the source on this one, it's going to get very interesting, family. It's going to get very, very interesting. Stay with me. So this is the slave narratives of Texas for Harriet Collins, right? Now we're going to read what she says about medicine, etc., etc., and we're going to find that quote. And when we find the quote, you're going to be shocked. Watch this, family. She says, there have been some queer things white folk can't understand. There am folkses can see the spirits, but I can't. My mammy learned me a lot of doctrine. What she learned from old folkses from Africa. Pause. I'm going to let that marinate. She says, my mammy learned me a lot of doctrine. What she learned from old folks is from Africa. So she's saying that her mother learned how to do medicine and learned about medicine and learned how to doctor and heal, right? From the old folk that came directly from Africa. Poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. This is a direct link to this information coming from Africa right in the primary sources. Watch what she say. And the Indians learned her. So not only did her mama learn doctrine or how to heal and learn about medicine directly from Africa, she also learned directly from Indians. Indians were enslaved too. Native Americans were enslaved too, and some of them were not. But just the interacting between the two, they learned about medicine from both parties. She says, if you has, and now she just goes into some information. If you has rheumatism, just take white sassafras root and boil it and drink the tea. You makes liniment by boiling mullein flowers and poke roots and almond salt. Put red pepper in your shoe and keep the chills off, or string briars round the neck. Make red and black snake root tea to cure fever and malaria. But get the roots in the spring when the sap am high. Now pay attention. She led into this by saying her mama learned about doctrine from Africa, from people directly from Africa and from the Indians. And so now she's explaining what that doctrine is, right? What that doctrine is. This is what it pertained to. Make red and black snake root tea to cure fever and malaria. But get the roots in the spring when the sap am high. Now check this out. Here we go. When chilling teething, put rattlesnake rattles round the neck and alligator teeth and good too. Hold up. Wait a minute. She says when chilling teething, put rattlesnake rattles round the neck and alligator teeth and good too. Let's go back to our article, family. The article says Harriet Collins of Texas remembered that elder was placed around infants' necks to prevent discomfort when teething. Elder was placed around the neck when teething. The primary source, when children teething, put rattlesnake rattles round the neck. Unless rattlesnake rattles is elder or elderberry, maybe I'm confused, but as of now, it looks like they misquoted the ancestor in that article, which is why I'm glad I'm the real bookworm and I went to the primary source. The ancestor said rattlesnake rattles round the neck and alligator teeth am good too. That further makes me think she ain't talking about elder or elderberry because she say alligator teeth. Alligator teeth makes more sense in conjunction with rattlesnake rattles than elderberry. Then she goes on to say, show they new moon money and you'll have money all month. That's a money spell, family. Poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. That's a literal money spell. Look at it. Show the new moon money and you'll have money all month. Throw her 5 kisses and show her money and make 5 wishes and you'll get them. Eat black-eyed peas on New Year's and have luck all that year. This black-eyed peas is lucky when on New Year's Day all of us have sweet taters and possums come your way. when anybody get out, I always burn. Wait, when anybody's get cut, I always burn woolen rags. Okay. We're gonna skip over that. Now look how she finishes up. She says, all these doctrine things come clear from Africa, and they always worked for many and for me too. So she's saying that all of those things worked, and they all came clear from Africa, right? But we know that some of them, they also got taught from the Indians as well. But this is direct information from Africa. Now, poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. Let's look at before we talk about the poison, let's look at the artifacts from Africa, family. You may be wondering, what did they make this medicine in? And what did they make this poison in? What did they use to make their food? Do we have any artifacts from the time of slavery, family? And yes, we do. There is something that is known as colonial wear. Now, colonial wear, which is alternately called colonial Indian wear, is a type of earthenware created by African Americans along the Atlantic coast, ranging north and south from Delaware and Florida, and as far west as Tennessee and Kentucky during the colonial era in America. It was first identified by the British archaeologist Ivor Noel Hume, and shortly thereafter published in a book he wrote. Listen to this. In Charleston, South Carolina, 13 colonial wear from the 18th century were found with folded strip roulette decorations. Remember, roulette decorations. From the time of colonial America until the 19th century in the United States, African Americans and their enslaved African ancestors, as well as Native Americans who were enslaved and not enslaved, were creating colonial wear of this pottery style. Roulette decorated pottery likely originated in West Africa and in the northern region of Central Africa amid 2000 BCE. Remember I told you, remember the word roulette? The roulette decorations found? Roulette decorated pottery likely originated in West Africa in the northern region of Central Africa amid 2000 BCE. So we're talking about a tradition exhibited by the enslaved that goes back thousands of years. 2000 BCE, family. You got to understand, that's like 500-600 years after the pyramids was built. 2000 BCE, that's before Rome. That's before Greece, family. You understand what I'm telling you? That's before that. And then that pottery style, so that's a tradition that goes back into the ancient days. It says the long-standing pottery tradition from which the Charleston colonial wear derives likely began its initial development between 800 BCE and 400 BCE in Mali. Mali is the Great Mansa Musa. It's just the Great Mansa Musa. So some of these pottery styles is connected to thousands of years ago. Centuries ago, even tied back to the Mali kingdom. Poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. We brought a lot over here, and we retained a lot over here, family. But that's interesting. I would suggest y'all look up some of that colonial wear. You're looking at some of the images right now. That's very interesting, family. But check this out. Remember when I was telling you about individuals getting poisoned, right? Individuals getting poisoned. Man, look at this, family. Look at this article. Stanford University. Poisoning as revenge for intimate violence against enslaved women. Fatima Suarez, postdoctoral fellow, June 1st, 2022. In 1857, Josephine, an enslaved woman, was tried in the state of Mississippi for the poisoning of the Jones family, who became violently ill immediately after drinking a tea that was allegedly served and prepared by her, the family's new cook. For Alexis Wells Argahofameth, this extraordinary capital case illuminates the myriad forms of intimate violence characteristic of enslaved, particularly female enslaved life, and the ways that bond women use religious repertoires to respond to acts of intimate violence. Wells Argahofameth a Clayman Institute faculty research fellow and assistant professor of religious studies at Stanford, delivered a powerful lecture. Do you see this? Do you see this? In 1857, Josephine and the slave woman was tried in the state of Mississippi for the poisoning of the Jones family. But not only do we have this article, family, I'm the real bookworm. Make sure you get it right. I'm going to show you the transcripts. Josephine verse State, 39, Mississippi. October 1861, Harcourt Areas and Appeals of Mississippi. Josephine, a slave versus the state. We're just gonna scroll down there. It's a lot of information about this, but I just want to show you basically that we're talking about poisoning. It says right here, the grand jury in the circuit court in aforesaid county of Bolivar at the November term thereof in the year of our Lord 1857, the grand juries of the state of Mississippi, taken from the body of the good and lawful men of the county of Bolivar, aforesaid, elected and panel sworn, blah, 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 blah. Now listen, present that Josephine, a woman slave, and George, a Negro man slave, late of the county of Bolivar, aforesaid, not having the fear of God before their eyes, but being moved and seduced by the instigation of the devil and of the malice aforethought, wickedly contriving and intending, one Layla Virginia Jones, a white person, with poison willfully, feloniously, and of the malice aforethought, to kill and murder on the 27th day of February in the year of our Lord 1857 with force and arms. So they go on to say that she had put a large quantity of a certain deadly poison called arsenic and mixed it into a tea and gave it to her and the family to poison them and kill them. Poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. But this was no isolated case, and it did not begin in 1857. Oh, no. It did not begin in 1857. Remember, in the beginning, the article mentioned the Virginia legislature doing something in October 1748. Well, guess what? The real bookworm is finna show you the laws that got put on the books by the Virginia legislature in October 1748. They're not gonna be able to hide nothing. I'm gonna show it to you. You're gonna know I'm telling the truth because I'm gonna show you. So let's look at number 3. And whereas many Negroes, under pretense of practicing physic, have prepared and exhibited poisonous medicines. Whoa, let me start over. You heard poisonous, but I want to start over so you know poison is in here, just so you can grasp that I'm the real bookworm. And whereas many Negroes, under pretense of practicing physic, have prepared and exhibited poisonous medicines by which many persons have been murdered, and others have languished under long and tedious indispositions. And it will be difficult to detect such pernicious and dangerous practices if they should be permitted to exhibit any sort of medicine. Be it therefore further enacted by the authority aforesaid that if any Negro or other slave shall prepare, exhibit, or administer any medicine whatsoever, he or she so offending shall be adjudged guilty of felony and suffer death without benefit of clergy. Poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. There was a lot that we brought from the shores of Africa to America. You could see it in the medicine. You could see it in the ways that we fought back, not only with the physical fighting, but there was a lot of poisoning going on, and I'm going to dig into that a little deeper later. I just wanted to introduce you to the subject matter, and a lot of that poisoning was done by the females. The female enslaved Africans are the heroes with this poisoning. So poison plots, mystical medicine, artifacts from Africa. I hope you guys like this one. This your brother Matthew Daniels, aka I'm Pooh, aka the Chosen Few, aka the Real Bookworm. But I'm not just a bookworm world, I'm the real bookworm. Make sure you get it right. And as always, may your name live on forever, and may your memory never die. Hey, click the link in the description and go purchase one of my books. Suicide Note, Thicker Than Water, Big Game Hunting, My Beautiful and Loving Wife. Support what we got going on. I'm out.